right, welcome to another Friday night, day after Thanksgiving episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and somewhere's on the screen is my carnivore co-host, Brian Damage Forsythe from the band Kix, and soon to be touring Europe, Rhino Bucket. So, Brian, how's Thanksgiving week going for you?
Good. There was a little change of plans along the way, but everything works out in the end.
So you want to touch base on what got you diverted real quick, just to give people an update? I'm sure what's heavy on your heart, and then we'll move on to things we're thankful for and things people cherish or devour during this holiday season.
Yeah. Well, since this is airing on Friday, people that were going to come out to the Kick show at Club XL are now aware that we're not playing. It's been postponed. So, and that is a result of having a scare this past weekend at the Tally Ho. Jimmy passed out after his little drum solo thing, and that gave us all a scare. But he's doing fine. They took him to the hospital and checked him out, and I don't know if everybody's aware, but he had a heart attack about a little over a year ago. So we were all like, oh man, it wasn't a heart attack, but it was kind of related to that, the whole thing. So he's back on track. He's back home. Well,
that's awesome.
When we filmed this, that day he went back home on Wednesday. So yeah, it's good. So
well,
yeah, we're all like so grateful that it wasn't more serious. I mean, it was pretty serious. Don't get me wrong, but we're glad he got through it. So
yeah, well, there's a lot to be thankful for, and when you get a chance to get a renew lease on life, and for him to come through that episode on Friday, a lot to be grateful for, and I'm sure all your fans are sending positive messages and lifting Jimmy and you guys up in their prayers. So
yeah, lots of comments and people praying for him, and yeah, that whole thing.
Well, that's good. So what about you? It's Thanksgiving Eve when we record this show, so we're actually doing it the day before Thanksgiving. So what do you got planned out? What are you and Shannon doing for Thanksgiving? Any 12-pound burger, big Tommy Hawk? What do you got? What do you got in store?
Well, originally, because I was going to be in Maryland, I was going to be at my sister's house and have Thanksgiving with my sister's family and stuff. And Shannon was going to come with me, so it was going to be this whole big thing, but that all got canceled. So should I pull it out and show?
Yeah, pull it out and show them. Wow.
Oh, that's backwards on here, isn't it?
No, it's you got it right. It says right. It says prime 514 prime rib.
There's this.
Oh yeah, yes. There's the good part, the part we want to devour.
Yeah, that's been in my freezer downstairs. And I went to Kroger the other day because they're on sale there, and I'm looking at all these prime rib and a really good price, but I'm thinking, I know I have one in my freezer. So I just bought that little one. In fact, I'm sure whoever's watching saw my post. I was telling you before we started, it was about this big, and I thought I was just going to cut a steak off of it and sear it. And I went to cut it, and I had to get between the bones, and it turns out it was only 2. So it was like this big thing, and I had to cut it, and I had a whole half. So I've got another half to eat at some other point, but yeah. And then I dug through my freezer downstairs and found that huge giant one. And I pulled the wrapper off, so I'm not even sure what the weight is on that one, but it's pretty. You saw how long it was.
Yeah, it's a good size. It's a good size.
Yeah.
It'll definitely take care of 2 people on Thanksgiving. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll be able to eat all into next week until we get sick of it.
Yeah, we're actually, you said you could pass it up, and people who know me, who watch the show, know Brian was making fun of me early, not making fun of me, just making a comment.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's like, hey, you got 20 turkeys in the freezer. I literally have 6. Well, I had 2 this year, so down to 4 frozen turkeys that are in the freezer. But Trent and I were at Wegmans a couple weeks ago, and they had this 27 cents or 24 cents a pound turkey for sale, and we just happened to be there. And I bought a 27-pound turkey that would cost 40 some dollars. I paid $6 for it. So as much as I'm not a huge fan of turkey, which is the reason why I have 4 of those birds still sitting in the freezer 2 years later, we have it. It's what we're going to devour on Thanksgiving Day, or will have devoured when this airs on Thanksgiving Day. But it's amazing. You can buy a 27-pound bird or 24-pound bird, how much ever it weighs, for $6. Trent made the comment, they had to spend more money in feed than you just bought this whole bird for, Dad. And then Brian, we're talking about transportation, the butchering of it, the packaging of it. I mean, for $6, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's a crazy good price.
Now, the great thing about being carnivore, you don't need anything else with it. You're just like, all right, I'm done. And typically they have those lost leaders there because you're going to go buy all the other crap that goes along with it.
Right.
But being a carnivore, it's just like you go get one ingredient. But it's amazing how we have such traditions that are ingrained in us, like that residual of having those big buffet style Thanksgiving dinners. Because even Trent, we're gonna have a very small Thanksgiving this year. Trent's coming over, will have come over, and it's just gonna be the 3 of us because our daughter and our other son is away. But she's like, well, what else? What are we gonna have? I said, well, what do you mean? What are we gonna have? We got the turkey, the 20-some pound turkey. She's, yeah, but we got more than that. I was like, what do you mean we gotta have more than that? She's, other people are just not like us. I go, well, it's just Trent. So I said, just tell Trent to bring whatever side dish he wants, macaroni and cheese, what's green beans. He used to love sweet potato casserole and sweet, or is it green bean casserole? Those are all used to be favorites that we used to make around the table. But talking about dishes that goes along with the turkey and other main entrees for Thanksgiving, Brian, I thought it'd be fun if we could go with the 2022 list of the top ranked foods people devour on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay. So, well, before we start that, I was just going to relate to your little thing you just said. Yeah, it was the same with Shannon. Like I pulled out the prime rib, and that's all I'm going to have.
That's it.
And I go, oh, but do you want something else with that? Because I forgot that it's like, for me, I don't need anything else. So I may have to go get her some like asparagus or something to go with it. But
yeah. It's amazing. I went to a function, which I had had been fasting all day, and I was like, Peggy's like, when are you going to eat? I said, well, I got to go to this holiday social in Richmond. I said, they got to have, like a charcuterie board. I mean, I'll eat a bunch of cheese and meat. They got to have something. It's Thanksgiving week. They got to. I get there and they had really nothing other than these square sandwiches that were with bread, a little inch by inch, and then they had, truthfully, and I hope I'm not watching this, but a vegetable tray that looked like it had been sent out for a week. It's like I was like, yeah, I'm not touching that. I mean, it looked like it just been sent out for a week. And then they had potato chips and Doritos and donuts and some muffins and everything that I can't eat. So, so I grabbed a couple of those little squares because there was a lot of people there, and I didn't want to so I was like, how am I going to do this? So I just would pick up a couple of squares and go over where the trash can was and flip the bread off, and then I would just shove the meat and cheese in my mouth. And I can tell you, just by touching the bread's probably laid out just as long as the vegetables were, because it was like not fresh bread either. So Anyway,
Wow.
I don't know where we were, Brian.
Oh, we're getting ready to do this list, right?
Oh yeah, yes, okay.
So,
Go ahead, Brian.
do you want me to guess this list?
Well, I know the list is in front of me, so I don't know
Oh, yeah. So I'll have to.
unless
Are you,
Shannon wants to jump in and play this game and see who gets the most. There's 20. I'll give. There's 20.
there goes my hair again.
There's 20. There's 23 items that are on the list. So
Okay.
I'm going to give you. I'm going to tell you. So these are just food items. So so don't think big entrees. Just think of very small individual items that are part
Well,
of.
can I ask you right off the bat, is turkey at the top?
No, it's not actually.
Oh, okay.
Turkey is
So,
not.
so you're thinking of side dishes?
Yes. So I will tell you where turkey falls. Turkey falls at number 7. I don't want to hear about your turkey being dry. It's not my fault that my mom isn't cooking the turkey at your house. She has enough work making 2 turkeys at our house this year, one for dinner and one specifically for leftovers. So turkey is number 7 on the list.
Okay.
So let me cross them out. So if you're playing at home, there's 22 of them left. So, all right, Brian, let's see if you can get the rest of the 22.
Stuffing, or however some people call it.
Stuffing, number 1.
Ah.
A good guess. They say stuffing is a miracle food. It honestly makes no sense when you think about it. The steps to make it sounds like an insane monarch giving orders, but stuffing is the number 1 item. So good job, number 1.
Okay. Cranberry sauce.
Cranberry sauce is the last one, number 23. You got
Wow.
first to last. Now you got to get in the middle.
That's not a good sign. Oh, wow. What do people normally eat? See, I'm not normal, so it's been so long since I've had an actual real full on Thanksgiving dinner. But
you want to phone a friend or Google something? I mean, we'll let you have 3 cheats.
No, I'll keep guessing here for a second.
Okay.
Green beans?
Green beans. Wait a minute. I thought that. Hold on a second. I thought I seen green beans, but I'm not. Wait, I may be missing some somehow from list 13 to. Oh, hold on a second. Here we go. There's the list. Why am I not seeing green beans? Oh yes. Well, we'll green bean casserole. We'll count that. So it's number 6.
Oh, okay. It's the casserole deal.
Yep.
Gravy.
Gravy is number 3.
I knew it.
You're on a roll now.
How about sweet potato casserole?
Sweet potato casserole is, well, why am I not seeing that one on there?
Or the one that they put the marshmallows and all
no, that's definitely would be on my list. I'm sorry this thing's so spread out, but I am not seeing. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's got to be sweet potatoes on there somewhere.
Believe it or not, Brian, I am not seeing it on here. That did not make the top 20. That just does not make sense to me. All right, this list is bogus because I definitely believe. Look, I don't have it anymore, but that definitely should be on the top 5, not much least the top 23.
Well, how about mashed potatoes?
Yes, mashed potatoes is number 11. That's on there. I still can't believe the sweet potatoes is not on there. It makes no sense. All right, I'll give you a clue on this. One of the things that you like to eat or order as a side dish out in public.
Not in public?
No, in public at a restaurant.
Sorry about my hair today. I don't know what's going on with it. It just goes to one side or the other.
You're all good.
Oh, well, some sort of bread, right? Rolls?
No. I'm not. This is a vegetable. I'll even give you a more clue.
Oh, asparagus?
Your other one that you like.
Oh, Brussels sprouts.
There you go. Number 17.
The one I can no longer tolerate, which is
Correct.
I love them. Oh, yeah. What else? I've got my helper in the background giving me hints.
What? Yeah, go ahead, scream it out.
Corn, she says.
Corn is, well, I will give it to you, but yes, cream corn is on the list, number 18.
Cream corn. Oh, another one I was thinking of was I already I mentioned dinner rolls, right?
No, you
Or
didn't.
Oh, I said bread.
All right, so yeah, so I take that back. You did say that. So dinner rolls is number 8, so that's on the list.
Ah, thanks. See, I don't even think of this stuff anymore because it doesn't
I
cross
know.
my mind
Listen,
when it comes to a meal.
I know it's out of your head, and I hope it stays out of your head.
Well, I heard you mention this before with your son, but I don't know if I've ever had this with Thanksgiving, but how about mac and cheese?
Mac and cheese is number 4 on the list.
Really?
It
People
is.
actually
Says, in my mind, mac and cheese at Thanksgiving is the southern baked variety that has some eggs in it and is more like a casserole. I want my mac and cheese served by the slice on Thanksgiving Day. Number 4.
Okay, when you remember how I mentioned stuffing before,
Yes.
does it have different kinds or just in general?
It's just in general. But
Okay.
I will tell you, there is a bread item in here, and it's already made with one of the items that you guys have already said. So I'll give you a little bit of a clue. It's a Southern tradition.
Cornbread?
Bingo, number 14. Yes, cornbread, number 14.
I think I may have made that one year myself, but it's been so long since I've eaten any of that stuff that it's just gone out of my catalog.
It's out of your vocabulary. It's out of your brain, and that's good.
Yeah, my meal vocabulary. Wow, I can't even speak. I haven't gotten there yet.
What'd she say?
Oh, you can't hear what she's saying.
I could hear what she said.
Well, I'll say this. Pumpkin pie.
Number 5.
Okay. Well, she said pie in general, but I know.
Now, what goes with pumpkin pie?
Whipped cream.
Number 2 on the list.
That's 2? Wow.
Yeah, that's on the list. So, there's a couple more. There's a couple more pies on the list.
Oh, well, apple.
Apple pie is on the list. Yes, it is. Number 13.
Pecan.
Number 10.
Yes. Are there more pies?
There's one more. Well, actually, 2 more, but actually one. I'm going to put your sweet potato pie under number 12 because it just says all other pies. I'm going to take the sweet potato as a casserole as a pie. So there's still one more pie left on the list.
How about like a lemon meringue or something? Or is that too
sounds
fancy?
good, but it's not on the list. I would agree.
How about shoe fly?
No, I'll give you a hint. It's one of my favorite food items.
Meat?
No.
Pie?
It's a meat pie. No, it's a dessert pie for sure. So it's something that I'm addicted to. I fight the addiction all the time. It goes great with peanut butter.
Oh, chocolate?
Chocolate cream pie is number 9.
That's a standard pie? I don't know if I've ever had that. Well, I must have had that at some point.
At the many diners and baker racks, yeah, you've had it.
No, I've never. I don't think I've ordered it. If it would have been like somewhere where I was at a dinner and somebody had it and I just had a piece. Because if I was going to order something, I'd go right to my go-tos.
Carrot. Go to your carrot. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items left out of 23 left. There's left on this list, and I will tell you, a lot of them are vegetables. or a couple of
Oh,
marshmallows, I should say.
how about succotash?
It's squash. They got squash. So number
Uh,
15 is squash.
well, succotash is lima beans and corn, right?
Yeah, that's not on there. So there's
That's
one more. What she said.
She's still yelling stuff back there. She
Come
says
on,
jello.
Shannon, help him out. He's only got 4 left.
She said jello, but I told her that's not a vegetable.
Yeah, that's not on there.
That actually, jello technically would come under the meat category because it's jello,
Gelatin. Yeah.
So okay,
I'll give you clues.
peas.
Peas is on the number. That's number 16. So now there's just 3 left.
Corn. I mean, not corn. I mean, that's their carrots.
Glazed carrots is number 22 left. You're almost, guys. You're almost there.
What else? Broccoli? No.
Well, I will tell you, it's usually served as a meal before an entree.
Salad.
Number 21, and there's one left, and you've already kind of said this, but I will. It's a version of a product that comes from the ground from Idaho.
Oh, potato, baked potato,
Scallop potatoes.
oh, scallop. Ah, yeah.
So
Would you?
what did she say?
Oh, she said au gratin, which is pretty much.
So those
Ah,
are the
those. Yeah, I used to make those.
So, but it's amazing. I look at that list and I remember on Thanksgiving, we used to have a lot of that stuff out. And I would just take a little spoonful of each. And I remember being just totally bloated. I mean, bloated after I eat that. And then about an hour later or 2 hours later, I'd go back and start getting some more. And I would just literally eat my way into a food coma for the rest of Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
and
Well,
now,
I used to stuff myself, but you know what? No matter how stuffed I was, there was always room for pie.
yeah. Well, pecan pie is my favorite. Blueberry is another one, but pecan pie was something that I love having.
I
Pumpkin
love.
pie. Did you
I
like?
used to love. I like apple pie with ice cream.
Yes, a la mode. Yeah,
Yeah.
hot apple pie with vanilla ice cream on top.
Yeah. And I like the Dutch apple with the
Yes.
crumblies.
Hmm.
But I can't. I shouldn't be even thinking about. Well, no, I'm not going to worry. You know what? You know what's not to get off any. We're not off a subject, but the fact that this is no carb November,
Right.
and right at the beginning of the month, I just committed to it. This has been the easiest ever of not been being tempted by anything like traveling, because usually I'll have the little, the with the quest bar in the back of my mind going through the airport kind of thing, like, well, that's kind of keto friendly, that kind of thing.
Right.
And or or even a vegetable or any of that. I didn't have to fight with any of those thoughts because it's no carb November.
Yeah.
And that was it. It
It's
made it so easy.
Yeah, well, it really is so easy. And I was telling you before we started the show that I weighed myself this morning. I'm at 191. I'm at my lightest I've been since I was 189, but it has been easy. Like I wish people would just understand how once you get off the sugar plantation, once you get break free from that addiction, that really is not that hard. And it sounds hard because you're addicted to something. And so it's like breathing. It's like you're hearing us say, stop breathing for 24 hours. And you're like, there's no way I can't even hold my breath for a minute. There's no way I can stop breathing for 24 hours. But what if there's something that you could do that made you, when you took one breath, you could hold it easily for 16 hours plus? And that's literally what living a no carb November does. And you literally, once you break free from having to be addicted to devour that sugar white substance, and those carbohydrates, you'll be surprised at how your body responds to be finally free from that addiction. You just don't need it anymore. I remember I used to love, Peggy and I used to, when we first started dating, we used to love to go to Chinese buffets, and I love Chinese food. And I would General Tso's chicken and orange chicken, and I used to love it. And I was coming back from Richmond last night, and Waze had me coming down through Route 1 because 95 was a parking lot. And I was coming by the Japanese restaurant. Parking lot was packed, and I was like, man, I just go, man, that'd be cool to go in there. I was like, why would I go there? There's nothing in there I can have anymore. But so that part of it's just like, yeah, I don't miss it, but I miss the experience, if that makes any sense. Like I would just like to go to see what the restaurant looked like to for the experience. But as far as wanting to go there to eat that food, I have no desire to do so. And it's
Well,
just
it's
not.
kind of it's similar for me. It's like I love diners and diner food, but now there's only a few diners I go to. I mean, I still occasionally when I'm out of town, I'm meeting up with friends or something, I'll go to a diner, but the excitement of a diner is kind of gone now. It's because it's like, well, the dessert case is off limits, and there's only a few things on the menu that I can actually eat. And it's always got to be special, like, just the burger, or just, not that I'm not complaining at all. I'm like you said, it's this freedom. It's almost like, the perception gets switched around. Like people perceive freedom as being able to just eat whatever you want and not have to worry about it. And it doesn't work that way, because that's not freedom. And for me, like this month is true freedom for me, because I don't have to. It's like there's no struggle. It's just it's true freedom.
Yeah, and the cool thing is you got a couple. I'm sure you have received them as well, but I got messages and text messages from people who participated in No Carb November, or friends of theirs who are beginning to participate in the Keto Carnivore Lifestyle, and and they're saying how better they feel. They're dropping 15 pounds in their first week of being on this type of diet. And I say diet, but it truly is a lifestyle, because once you truly get yourself free from those addictive foods, and mostly processed foods. I mean, the processed foods that are out there. I saw what you posted earlier today or yesterday, Brian, about the labeling. And if you really understood what the labeling really is telling you, like it's going to give you this, it's going to give you that. And
Yeah.
that's why it's so key to educate ourselves in what those ingredients are. And even if you got to take time to get your phone out like you do, Brian, and Google that while you're sitting there in the store to look at it, and see the side effects of what that particular ingredient can harm you.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's well, with the whole keto craze, you know, people are so focused on that nutrition box that tells you carbs and all that. That's like looking at, getting your blood test back and looking at total cholesterol and freaking out at that number. It really means nothing. You have to look at the content. And so the most important thing on a label is the actual ingredients. Not the carbs, because that part of that it's like the food manufacturers just use that to hide stuff and manipulate the facts, so you think it's better than it really is. But yeah, the actual ingredients. Well, if I have to get out my phone, I might as well just put the thing back on the shelf, because I'm not going to buy something if I don't even know what it is. I mean, I try to avoid foods with ingredients anyway. I'd like the food that I'm holding in my hand, I'd like that to be the ingredient.
Yeah, I mean, like you just pulled out the beginning of the show, that prime rib.
Yeah.
Where it came from, what it is, and that's all you need. I mean, that's a perfectly balanced meal right there. That's everything that you need. Eggs,
And
eggs is another one.
yeah, well, and also, I don't like to force my thing on anybody. So like even in the case of like somebody that wants to be vegetarian, they're still, if they choose the actual vegetable as opposed to a package with stuff in it, um, that's better than that. I mean, the actual food itself. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't go wrong if you just pick the food
right.
and just eat that, and not nothing in a package or a box.
Right. If the food comes from what's that? If it has an eye, a mom, or comes from the ground, um, then you're better off than eating what's coming processed, because it's really the processed food that's creating all these issues. Not
Yeah, and even some of the wow, that's a problem too. Like dairy and stuff, it's processed. You can't buy unprocessed dairy in a store. Um, you know, once it's not raw anymore, it's really not as good
it's
because
lost its nutritional value because
it's
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 been taken
dead.
out of it. Right.
Yeah, it's dead at that point. Like a raw dairy is still alive. So it's still evolving in its own little process. And I read something where maybe one of these farms where I get stuff from, uh, they were talking about the raw dairy, like even the raw milk, it doesn't really expire. It just changes, and it won't kill you. It
Right.
just changes. Like even after it gets sour, it's still good. It's just a different form, you know?
Yeah, they used to sell sour milk. I mean, that used to be. I mean, that used to be a thing. That's sour cream. I mean, you're
Right, right. And I do the kefir thing, or however you say it, kefir
we're gonna go
thing.
with that. We'll go with kefir. That's fine.
Yeah, and that's just, it's fermented, and I mean it's raw milk, and I leave it sitting out on the counter for a day and a half, and it doesn't go bad. And I drink it, and it actually, oh, I love that stuff. I fell in love with it. But the A2 milk is what I like because it's easier digested.
Well,
But
I mean, fermentation, kombucha. I mean, fermentation is a part of life, and it's this energy. It goes
well,
into a different form of energy. Uh,
in fact, vegetables are much more healthy for you if you ferment.
fermented.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how we've got so far away from our food source, and like people have been the programming is so strong. Like people, they go, "Why do you leave your eggs out on your front porch? Why are they in a basket?" Say, "Oh, that's where we get our eggs from." Yeah, but don't shouldn't they be refrigerated? No, they don't need to be refrigerated. They come right from the chickens, and they don't need to be refrigerated.
Yeah, somebody posted a picture recently on Twitter of a supermarket in Germany, and she took a picture of the egg section. It's in the middle of the store. It's just a big bin with a bunch of cartons of eggs. They don't even refrigerate them there. They just sit there.
Yeah. I mean, we've been so programmed to believe that we have to put everything in a refrigerator because everything's been um, pasteurized or heated, we're losing the nutrients. It's almost like chemo, like it's killing everything. Um, and hopefully they're staying alive in spite of it killing everything. Um, and it's just, you know, we need to get back to finding out that we were talking about this earlier, Brian, that food is just not fuel for the body, but food is also medicine for the body. And I was talking to you this week. I think I sent you the link for this book called Brain Energy, and Dr. Christopher Palmer. And I think you were telling me earlier that he was on a podcast you were listening to that you're a third of the way through.
Yeah, yeah, that guy's great.
But that book, and I highly recommend. I don't know if you can get the book because I don't think they produced or published enough books. So I think they're having to go through another printing. But if you have Audible on your iPhone, definitely get. It's called Brain Energy. This book's amazing, especially if you know anybody, you have any friends or family that are dealing with mental illness, or even if you suffer from like seasonal depression or
Or anxiety.
or anxiety. Yes. You know, he does a great explanation of just why food does play an impact on your brain. And I think, Brian, you were saying about what he was sharing in regards to the brain, and how the food has such an impact in regards, or the correlation with that. So
Mhm.
it's just, if it seems to me, and we talk about this on this show, and I was thinking about this this week. You know, some of our shows deal with spirituality, like we had Victoria on and talking about yoga and the path that she journaled, and then we've had different people on, but you know, we've kind of have said it from time to time, but to have a doctor really say that food in conjunction with these other activities really do impact how your brain fires and how you think. And so, if you know somebody who has anxiety, you know, there's stuff out there that's naturally, of course, cannabis comes to mind, that's a one that's used naturally for people, but you really do put yourself in a much better position to succeed. And that's one of the things about this psychiatrist that he shares. He says, look, we can put you on these medicines and these different cocktails to help you be able to get out from the way you're thinking, but they have a 90% failure rate. They have a 90% more success rate if they can get you in a ketogenic state. So if you can live a ketogenic lifestyle, more than likely you're going to succeed, even with the cocktails that they give you, because
Well,
your body's able to receive.
yeah. Well, he even on the podcast that I was listening to earlier, um, his his whole life experience. I mean, that's how he came upon all this stuff, because he went through it himself. And he was talking about being in his early 20s and being diagnosed with metabolic syndrome.
Right.
And they put him on like blood pressure meds and these other things. And then at one point, his doctor started prescribing him other medications to deal with the side effects from the first medications. And you know, he had that moment of clarity. It was like, and he started gaining weight, and he started thinking, man, at this rate, when I get to my 40s, I'll start having heart attacks and stuff. So he you know, luckily it sort of opened his eyes, and that's what set him on the path to look into all this stuff. But it's an amazing story.
Yeah. So
Not only his story, but what he discovers and how he puts it to practice now.
yeah, and what's the really cool thing, you know, we talk about this all the time, like the life you live um, is your testimony. And the fact that this guy's lived this life out and he has the credentials that he has, a lot of other psychiatrists and doctors are really taking notice as these studies that he's doing and what he's sharing and what he's bringing to the forefront. Um, and they're heralding him as a lifesaver of what he's bringing. Now, we all know from doing our own due diligence and research that the powers that be have been trying to suppress this for years, to get you not to let this come to the forefront. The fact that we have somebody from the ground up, from the ground floor, who's out there sharing this information, because you know he was impacted by his mom and his patients and himself, and for him to see, when he started doing his own due diligence, he really couldn't believe why this wasn't widespread knowledge. Like, why is it not this not being shared? I mean, this had such a profound impact on helping people, yet it's almost like it's suppressed on purpose, and we all know that it is suppressed on purpose.
Yeah.
At least that's my personal opinion. I don't want anybody else to get Brian in trouble, but that's my own personal opinion.
Well, I mean, the keto diet has been around since the 20s, and you know, it was first introduced as a treatment for epilepsy. And the only reason that came about was, we were talking about this earlier too. Before that, they would treat seizures with fasting, and but you know, you can't fast forever. So this guy came up with the keto diet, which is basically a fasting mimicking diet.
right.
So it puts you in that state of ketosis like you would be in fasting mode. but you're actually still eating. Yeah. So somewhere along the line, I don't know. It just sort of like, I never heard about it until I got into the whole keto thing. It's like, how come that's not like more, and like now they treat epilepsy with just drugs. They don't even think about keto. Like,
yeah, and there's other natural remedies for that as well. And that information doesn't seem to get disseminated among the people who should have that information, because they have patients who are depending on them, and they're just giving them what they're taught to prescribe, which is just drugs.
yeah,
And it really is crazy. So I would say that on this, I'm gonna bring this all, tie it all back together to Thanksgiving, and just say, that's one of the things that I'm thankful for. That I'm thankful that I was exposed to this Atkins diet back in the early 2000s. Did it, experimented with it. Of course, I went back to the pig trough and went back to eating processed food, and I ballooned back up to 300 pounds. But at some point you got to come to realization. You got to look in the mirror and realize that if you want to live a long life, you have to make changes, and those changes had to be something that I had to make internally. And Peggy and I had to look in the mirror together and said, look, we're going to live a long life. We have to make changes. And we know from experience what works for us is living a keto lifestyle. And that keto lifestyle brought keto calm, and now it's brought carnivore clarity. As I was telling Brian, it's amazing how, I'm talking about firsthand experience. I used to be somebody who's get all riled up and be programmed by certain news stations, and I always would be up in arms, and this certain person had to win in order for me to be okay. And now I'm just so free. I'm free from all of that. I'm free from the politics, the religion, the carbohydrates, all the addictions that used to be stirred up. And I truly believe, personally, my experience is that by living a carnivore lifestyle, you think clearer, and you begin to realize where you fit into the ball of life, where you fit into the universe, and you start to have clarity of understanding how everything's interwoven and how everything impacts one another. And I for the most part, I just have such a peace about me. And I think a lot of that has to do in with the lifestyle that Peggy and I live. And really, it's what we are digesting that helps us to remain that calm and that peace. Because I don't see it any other way. So I'm truly, on this Thanksgiving day after, I'm so thankful for being able to have a partner, to be able to have the ability to look in the mirror and see clearly that I was my own worst enemy. I was the one feeding my addictions, and it takes, and I'm speaking to you guys out there. Look, I know it's not easy, but when you truly take accountability for what you're putting in your mouth, because so many people will say, yeah, well, I was over at my friend's house, or my wife wanted this, or my children wanted this, and I couldn't let them down. No, trust me, you're letting yourself down, because the best example you can be for your family is to be the example that's going to bring them life. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm only sharing you what I have done and the freedom that I have experienced. And I'm just so thankful. And then I'm thankful for all of you that keep sending me messages and are living this lifestyle and sharing your lifestyle, letting your lifestyle speak to other people. Thankful for Brian, who's constantly out there posting messages of hope on what can be. And he's not telling you what to do. He's just making you aware of what they want you to do. And there's a big difference in there. There's a big difference when the powers to be want to keep you in a certain way, so you can go to big pharma, big doctor, big medicine, and prescribe to their medicine. When the reality of it is, the food is your medicine. And if you could just understand that and to experience that, truly is a blessing.
Yeah, to add to that, for myself personally, the just digging into the like acquiring the knowledge, because a lot of times, when people jump into trying to change things, they don't really understand why that food's bad. It's just labeled bad. But once I dug into it and started finding out what was actually going on with these different foods and or ingredients and all that stuff, that really helps with deterring you from eating it. Because otherwise you don't, you're not supposed to, but you don't really know why. And once you learn that, then it's like, oh, why would I want to eat that? It makes it much easier.
Talking about that, Brian, Peg and I was just talking about this, none of it yesterday. We're talking about all the times that we used to reward ourselves. Like we would go, oh, we've lost this amount. We feel great. Let's have a cheat day. Let's go out to our Chinese restaurant. Let's have a cheat day. And that just shows you that you're really just justifying your addiction, because the reality, it makes no sense. Once you break free and you can see clearly and think clearly, you go, man, that's like me being a rat. And the rat goes, man, I've walked past that rat poisoning for 6 days in a row. I'm over the rat poisoning. I'm going to celebrate. And you're going to celebrate by eating the rat poison. It's like,
that's a good analogy.
It just doesn't make sense, but that's what we do. We celebrate feeling better, losing weight, having more energy, and we return back to the same poison that made us feel that way, that we're trying to get our body rid of. We return back to it as a way of celebrating. If that doesn't tell you that it's such a stronghold thought form, an addiction, nothing did. And look, I justified my addiction most of my life. I look back now and I can see just how comical it is that I was justifying it with that type of rhetoric. Like, I'm going to celebrate by devouring the one thing that made me sick. It makes no sense.
Right.
So,
I know. It doesn't when you look at it like that.
But anyway, well, Brian, it's about time to wrap it up. What are you thankful for in this Thanksgiving 2022?
Oh, I've got a lot. Just the well, for one thing, the fact that Jimmy's still alive. Just, things don't always go the way I think they're going to go, but they always seem to work out for the best. So, I'm just going to enjoy being home with Smokey and Shannon and cook that big chunk of meat.
Well,
And yeah, I'm grateful for a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
it's
I'm
hard
right.
to list it all.
Yeah, it is. It's like we were talking about last week. It's words don't do it justice. It's all in the heart. It's heartfelt. So may everybody out there who are watching this episode, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I appreciate you guys joining with us, and we look forward to spending another Friday night with you next week. And Brian, on this Thanksgiving 2022, what would you tell Shannon at the table to do?
Eat your meat.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Everybody stay safe, stay well, stay out of that hospital, and stay kind. And we'll see you next Friday night.
See. Hey, can we pause just for a second